So Liam, simple question first and foremost. How's training going? How's the training camp?
Training's good. It's a really good setup here. Pitches right next to the hotel, so it's ideal in terms of obviously being able to walk straight out onto the training pitch after a meeting. So it's good. Started well. Weather helps in terms of it's not too hot, obviously, so we can actually really push the lads physically without having to worry around heat, etc. So yes, it started well.
Are you liking what you're seeing from the players so far?
Yeah, we there's obviously a few new additions which when you look at it, it can sometimes take a little bit of time to get them players up to speed in the culture and develop relationships. That's why this week's so important. You can accelerate the togetherness, the team aspect, the relationships within the group. So really liking what I'm seeing. And there's a closeness already, which as we know, is so important. And it's our job to keep pushing that and to keep creating challenges where the players have to stick together and dig in. So it's been good.
We'll talk about Connor in a moment because we haven't had an opportunity to talk about him, and we also haven't talked about Scott Twine, of course, since the last time we talked. Scott Twine's moved on. I think we all felt, that it was inevitable that there'd be a lot of interest in him. And in his words, it's a move that he feels will progress his career, and I presume he goes with your best wishes. Sorry to see him go, obviously, because he's a great player, but he's moved on and to bigger and better things, perhaps.
Definitely, I think Twiney was first and foremost a terrific character. That was all the staff players loved him. He was he was terrific in the changing room, and then obviously his level was so high. And I think we said it a few times. If someone's journey goes quicker than what the first team does, and the deal's right for the club, then it's part of the game is that you have to be open to take those offers. And what we were fortunate enough to do was be in a strong position. To demand a really good fee for him that allows us to then work to set up the team in the short term, but also invest in the club in the long term future. It's something that's really important in terms of the model we work. And if you look at the bigger picture now, Matt O'Reilly going to Celtic, Twiney going to Burnley, Harry going to Swansea, Fish. We're moving players to clubs. But Burnley, we're in a well-established Premier League side for many years. So, I'm sure, with Vincent Kompany going in there, they'll be there or thereabouts in the Championship. So we're moving players that are actually, they're not going teams to in and around our level. They're going to, much bigger clubs. So, I think that has to be a huge compliment for, obviously the work that Liam and the recruitment guys do, but also, the staff within the club. The development they do, how they push and progress the players is. It's getting noted, and I think that that's what makes us a really attractive club for players to join. But we're quite clear. We don't want to just be a developing club. We want to bring players in that we can try and retain. To ultimately try and do what we nearly did last year in terms of moving up, and that will be the aim is to reinvest in the squad, to build the squad. To in our way compete as best we can.
That's mind-blowingly complicated to get that balance, isn't it? Because, of course, anyone who follows MK Dons or anyone from the outside would understand a side in League One with the current budget has to build and has to sell players that command a fee that maybe Scott and Harry has, etc. But there's also that desire. Everyone knows that MK Dons want as a club to progress up the divisions. That must be such a difficult balancing act to get right.
No, definitely. I think there's a lot of conversations obviously around the squad and what it looks like, and there's a huge amount of work that goes on behind the scenes. To allow for for succession planning, for allowing transition, but also for allowing a level of stability, which is also important that the team needs to to be able to consistently perform and challenge. So it's a constant plate spinning process with myself, the staff, and obviously Liam and the recruitment guys to get it right. But again, I think that's where that trust element's also important. And we're not the first team to do it. I think Ajax have done it forever. Dortmund have done it successfully at a different scale, obviously to us. And then you look in the UK, Brentford have done it where they've signed players, put them in the team, played them. And it took Brentford quite a few years to get where they've got to. So I think what it allows is stability and for the club, definitely in the short, medium and long term. And I think that's where the game's transitioned a little bit now. I think the days where owners come in and just pump money in and hope that it will happen, that I don't think clubs can operate like that anymore. You see so many clubs that go into administration or potentially go out of business, which is obviously quite dangerous. So for me positive and reassuring for everybody involved with the club and the fans is that we're working for the short and the long term in the club.
Tell us about Connor then. Connor Grant has signed for the club. Quite an exciting and interesting signing for MK Dons.
Yeah, one we're really pleased to have on board. I think really important he's not a direct replacement for Twiney. He's his own player. He's a different type of player, so I think that's important to stress. But when you look at the qualities he's got, positionally he takes up some really good positions between the lines. He's got really good awareness. He moves really nicely with the ball as well. So he's got some really good attributes, which putting him in our style of play and how we want to play. I think he can be really dangerous for us.
What's the situation with David Kasumu?
Nothing's changed since we last spoke. We made an offer. Obviously that was out there. I think it's getting to that stage now where we're obviously planning without him, which I think we have to in terms of my job is to protect the team and the culture that we have here. So as it stands, I'm working as if he's not here.
Frustrating or just part of football?
Say again, sorry.
Frustrating or just part of football?
I think it's part of football. I think my priority will always be the team and making sure I prioritise the team and what the team needs. And I think it's really important if say it to the players here, we have to have everybody all in. You can't carry people. You can't have people that are 80% in. And I think that when you look at it, we have to have everybody that's fully committed to the team. Because good times, bad times, like I said many times since I've been here, that's what gets you through those periods. And if you've got people unsure, that's what can be harmful. So. For me, we're recruiting a group of people and players that are fully committed to the team and the club.
And I presume that the loan market is the next thing to kind of look at. Some of those Premier League, maybe even Championship players that could come on loan. Is that where your attention's maybe shifting a little bit now?
Yeah, it's always a challenging one. I think when you look at it, especially externally from a supporter's perspective, I get it that people want. Us to sign players quickly and get people in through the doors. But at the same point, first and foremost, we'll always be getting the right people in and the right players. And then it's doing it at the right time scale. So, there's no logical order in terms of setting time frames. It's almost, doing all the groundwork's done. It's then a case of obviously when them options arise. So, as we know with the loan players, Premier League, starting later, the players come back a little bit later. A lot of the the Cat 1 Premier League sides, want to keep their players in and around the senior squad, so they tend to come later. So I think we're still working hard on a couple of more permanent additions, but then hopefully we're in credit from last season with the work we did with the loan players and the quality of work and culture that we have, that the Cat 1 clubs see us as a really good viable option to send some of their best players.
Thanks, Liam. Appreciate your time.
No problem.
Liam, you could make or break a lot of hearts of the MK Dons fans with this one, but as I understand it, Will Grigg's training with you this week. What's the situation that's happening there?
The situation is he's obviously he's out of contract, fully fit, raring to go, and there's one that obviously has good relationships within the club, given his time here before. And put to me in terms of the training, I'm sure if you were to speak to Grigg himself, sitting in a gym and training by yourself is not the same as being in and around a team setting. So it was almost a no-brainer to go, look, we can provide a really good strong week of training and get to know each other a bit. So I think from that perspective, it's kind of beneficial for all parts to have him in and around it, especially with his quality, his character, and how I've got to know him obviously in the last few days. So. That's it. It was an opportunity for both parties to benefit, really.
Would you be someone you're looking at though?
You had to ask that, didn't you? It's one of those. I think we have a discussion on it. I think I'm sure for Griggy as well, returning. His priorities obviously the match fitness, the training fitness, getting to a level where he's obviously missed back end of last season. So I have to say he's looked really sharp in training. So I think it's a discussion. I think it's one of those to have a discussion probably later in the week, starting next week, to see where he's at with things, and similar for ourselves. So it's not one I'd say definitely no to. At the same point, I'm not saying a definite yes. So I'm going to sit on the fence with that one, Toby, and basically just say, look, we're spending the week together, and we'll have a discussion at the end of the week.
Typical manager speak with the splinters up your backside.
It's both sides as well. Look, Griggy, I'm fully clear he won't be short on options either. Given his career he's had and the quality he's got. So look, it has to be right on both sides. So we'll see how the week goes.
No, of course. How are the new lads bedding in? Obviously, coming away and being in a sort of living in each other's pockets, so to speak, as you are away for a week together. How are they all bedding in, and how important is it to have this sort of week away training all together?
Yeah, it's really important. I think, like I said at the start, in terms of being able to accelerate the togetherness, the team spirit, it just gets intensified because you're obviously in each other's pocket for the whole period of time. So, the downtime equally is important. Some of the stuff we'll try and create within that. So I'd say I think Dean Lewington is the Connect 4 champion as it stands at the minute. I saw him having quite a few battles on that last night. So it's just little things like that people, you have to stay here, so you have to stay and entertain yourselves with each other. So, and then obviously, from the training perspective, we can actually increase the volume of work that we do. There's so many positives from so many aspects of it.